Got to be China, the most interesting place on earth.
I would have to say the United States.
Oh, there's an easy answer to that one. Iran, a remarkable country with a deeply rooted history and an extraordinarily tangled and poisonous and complicated relationship with the West. It's a strange place to visit because when you go, it is, as it were, that you're representing what the Iranian regime calls the global arrogance, which is the West. So you expect in some ways to be treated with suspicion or even hostility, and of course you're not at all. People are very friendly and they're very pleased to see you, and there's an enormous amount to learn, and actually it's a fascinating place and a very friendly place to visit.
Got to be China, the most interesting place on earth. China's rise is the most important thing for the world to fix in the next 30 years, and whether it will do so peacefully or unpeacefully, whether it will get old before it gets rich, you know, those are the conundrums which are just endlessly fascinating. A long, slow burn story that's never going to go away.
My father was a front correspondent, and we grew up in the Middle East and Asia. We were away on holiday when Kuwait was invaded in 1990, and never went back. So I suppose, while politically I think it's a fairly stagnant place, personally I would love to go back and see what it's like. Our house had been invaded, and a duck that lived on the swimming pool was put in the microwave. So not very nice memories to have. I'd like to make some more perhaps.
The countries I can't get out of my head are Syria and Turkey. Syria because it's the great disaster of our times, and Turkey because I don't think you can understand the history of Syria without understanding the history of Turkey. Going right back to the 8th and 9th centuries, these are incredibly important and fascinating times and are suddenly becoming relevant again. And the more you read about it, the more you go to these places, the more you suddenly see history and politics intersecting and coming back to haunt us.
I think Iraq, it was the first place I went as a freelance journalist with no experience of foreign reporting back in 2003, just after the war. And every time I've been back, I've kind of thought, like, this place can't get any worse. I've been back about a dozen times over the years, and every time, unfortunately, it has got worse. And it's still the epicenter, really, of everything that's going on in the Middle East today.
I would have to say the United States, which is a bit of a cheat because I've only really just arrived there, but it is fascinating. You think that it might be a little bit like the UK, it's a developed country and everybody speaks English, but then you realise that it is a wild place full of complete contradictions. It's essentially a brand new country, incredibly rich and so strange. So last week I ended up in Florida at a party of a guy who had a cabinet full of weapons, enough to arm a small militia, and started firing them off in the backyard.